You're hanging out in the House of Sunny podcast, where it's always sunny, mostly because of your host, comedian and YouTuber, Sunny Loman. Want to know what Sunny and her friends are thinking about this week? Well, here she is, Sunny Loman.
Welcome to the House of Sunny, where it's always sunny, although your host Sunny is not here. She is on assignment for a few weeks, and I have taken over for her. My name is Doug. I'm from the Rational Capitalist blog. You can find that at theratcap.com, or you can find me on Facebook at The Rational Capitalist. And let me now introduce to you the man known for bullseyeing womp rats in his T16 back home, Ben.
Doug, it's so nice to be back with you. Always a pleasure, my friend, and hello to everybody out there.
Super. Well, it's good to hear from you. We had an interesting time last week. It was like the first time we've actually done the podcast together. And
yeah, I felt like we got along like old pros.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably accurate. There were probably dozens of people that enjoyed it.
Oh, a baker's dozen.
So, I think she always likes to start with the jokes, right? So, let me play the joke we got on the voicemail this week. You ready?
All right.
Okay, Doug, here's another joke for you. A man got in line at the DMV, and the worker told him, "Sir, you need to take a number before you get in line." The man asked, "What number are we at?" The worker said, "We're at number 6. The man said, "All right, I'll take number 7. Bye."
All right.
Dude, I actually got berated at a DMV recently.
You did? What happened?
I'm trying to remember, but somebody actually took me aside and were like, "Sir, we can hear you complaining." I was grumbling because, what was it? There was something about a license transfer, and I was talking about how arbitrary all the fines and fees were, and I was just like, sort of paying, but also grumbling aloud, like, "Well, that's cool. You guys get all my money then. That's awesome. I love that." I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's cool. No, I'm rich." Like, I was literally being mad.
No.
And then, and the woman was kind of playing along with me, the one that was actually checking me out and stuff. She was fine. But then after I completed my transaction, the guy that checks you in right when you walk through the door and you fill out the form for why you're there, he came all the way over from that desk.
Come on.
To correct me.
No.
Yeah, dude. And I was like, really? And I'm like, I just had to pay $200 for nothing, like a sticker and whatever.
Yeah.
We had to pay for license plates for a long time, which is already weird. Like, you got to have this thing on your thing, and then you got to put a sticker on the thing too.
Right.
Like, how
do.
long before you got to put another sticker on top of that sticker?
That's right. Nothing but stickers. So he felt the need. He couldn't just let this go. He needed to correct you.
Yeah, and his whole tone was like that of I'm going to school you on human decency.
Oh.
It was just maddening.
The bureaucrat that knows what's good for you.
Yeah, because you know how you're just elated when you leave that place and you got what you needed,
yes.
Whatever. I was even more angry.
Oh. Well, I'll tell you what. Speaking of anger, we're kind of politicked out. I mean, I'm personally politicked out. I think in the next couple weeks, we'll talk more about the midterms. We'll get back more into politics. Basically, I think, and I want to give my view at that time more that why I think, even though Republicans are usually pretty awful and not as good as I want them to be, I think the Republicans, you have to almost vote Republican this time because the Democrats have become an angry lynch mob and they're out of control. And I want to kind of go through that a little bit in the next couple of weeks because I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but I'm kind of politicked out after the whole Kavanaugh situation and everything. I'm sort of exhausted. So
it's the whole thing. It is exhausting. And couple days ago, I was like, you know what's been missing from my life is just a little tiny bit of comedy. And so the last couple days, I just threw on some stand-up in the morning, and dude, I feel so much better.
Do you?
Just remembering to do something that starts light
Yeah.
at the beginning of your day, it's so important, I think. So I like where you're headed with it.
Well, and that's why this episode, our show today, is almost 98% comedy. We've got a bunch of little bits here we want to do. We're going to tell a few jokes. I've got a clip of a robot I want to talk about. We've got a game that I want to play with you, Ben. It's called College Course or Not, where I'm going to read you a title of a college course, and you're going to tell me if it's an actual college course or not. And then we have some movie categories that I've come up with. I believe you can categorize all movies into one of 5 categories. And so you're gonna have to test me on to see if my categories.
I wrote down a couple movies that I'm going to throw at you, and I feel like I may stump you.
No,
on at least one.
No one's ever stumped me so far. But before we get away from the politics, I just saw the most bizarre political ad I've ever seen, and now the bar is very low for these political ads, right? But I want you to explain this ad to me real quick, Ben. Okay? So I'm going to play this. And you tell me what you think this ad is about.
Decades of partisan bickering and no results for victims. Thousands of rape kits sitting untested across Wisconsin. Then we elected Brad Schimmel. He got to work, solving a 20-year problem. His liberal opponent, Josh Kaul, has never prosecuted a sex crime case or put a single criminal behind bars here in Wisconsin. How are we supposed to trust another D.C. liberal like Josh Kaul? Inexperienced, dangerous. Josh Kaul, wrong for Wisconsin.
Okay, now did you get that?
Hold on, did she say rape kit? Wait, like,
She did indeed say.
she said, okay, so rape kit.
She said, this is the premise, and again, I still don't understand this. Let's listen to the first 10 seconds again, okay? And I'll stop it.
All right.
Decades of partisan bickering and no results for victims. Thousands of rape kits sitting untested across Wisconsin. Then we elected Brad Schimmel.
Okay, so now I know what a rape kit is. That's what you get at the hospital to determine that, yes, in fact, you've been raped.
Correct.
So she's saying that because there are unused ones,
Like,
shouldn't we be celebrating? Okay, oh wait, no, she's saying that dude doesn't prosecute rape
yes.
cases?
Now, when I first heard it, my first thought was, so you want more rapes? Like, there's rape kits going unused. We need more rapes. Why are we wasting these rape kits?
Dude, the only thing I can think of, having heard that, is how many hands did that go through before it, was launched, and no one caught that, because that's really unclear language there.
And of course, I think what they mean is this guy, crimes are being committed and no one's doing the job or something like that. Like,
sure.
That's all it could mean, right? I mean, of course, that's all it could mean, but. Clearly, like, when I first heard this, my first thought was, oh my God, they're talking about the problem of untested rape kit. Like, what? And then there's a big closet of these rape kits that have never been used. I mean, it's such a bizarre, and then to accuse your opponent of, he's dangerous.
Well, I know. Well, dude, when I first heard the context by which she uses rape kit, I imagine this entire industry, the rape kit industry, like getting screwed over. Like, wait,
right.
what?
Big Rape is the whole rape industry. They're throwing millions of dollars around, DC, lobbying for the usage of these kits.
Oh, dude, you do not want to get on the wrong side of Big Rape.
No, like Big Oil and, Big Tobacco, Big Rape, they'll get you every time.
They will get you.
So to me, that's how, like, absurd, I guess, political discourse has become. And I saw that one and I had to get your take on it. So
I will never be the same.
I know you won't. But, well, okay, do you have any jokes you want to tell?
Yeah, I do.
Why don't you
Hold
tell
on.
us a couple dirty jokes, and then I'm going to tell you a dumb joke. Although it's not really a dumb joke.
Okay. I got a couple dirty ones for you.
Okay.
I can throw out here. What's worse than ants in your pants?
What?
Uncles.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
Too soon, Doug? Too soon?
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, I got one more for you.
All right.
What's the best thing about fingering a gypsy on her period?
Oh, my God. This is gross. I have no idea.
You get your palm read for free.
Oh!
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Anytime.
So, two things that I just want to get these off my chest. One is, so my dog came up to me and he licked me. He was like kind of running around the couch and he came up to me and licked me. And as he licked me, like he, what do you call it when, God, I'm having a brain collapse, when you're, you get shocked. He licks me like right on my face and he like shocked me.
Oh, like a literal shock.
You know, like when you touch a doorknob and you get shocked, right?
Yeah.
So the dog comes up to me, licks me, and shocks me, and it struck me that as he kissed me, sparks were flying. But it occurred to me, like, because it hurt, that concept of sparks flying when you kiss someone is kind of a horrible concept. Like, I got shocked when this dog like licked me, and it actually really hurt my face. So,
well, and love in general is called like it was electric. It's electricity between us.
but I literally experienced sparks flying.
Wow.
And it was, and that's not really a joke. It was just kind of a thing that.
That's
happened.
interesting, though. Maybe have you ever considered that perhaps you love too hard?
I have considered that actually, and I ruled it out.
It's been ruled out. Well, good. We can move on.
So and then the other thing I did, I thought of I invented a new kind of salad.
Of course you did.
Because I'm always looking to lose weight, and so you take all your salad stuff like the lettuce and the tomatoes and the meat.
Yeah.
And the key is I invented a new bowl for the salad to go into. And the bowl is shaped exactly like two pieces of bread. Hold on. Oh, I didn't have my laugh track. Hold on. Hold on. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. That's pretty different.
No, I don't know. You know what? Anytime somebody makes up a joke about a salad, I mean, dude, you made it up.
There is a dearth of salad jokes, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much a joke as much as it is a peek inside of your mind, my friend.
Fair, yeah, I like that. Well said. Because, well, okay, whatever. All right, so here's the other thing. Speaking of I made that Star Wars. Did you catch that Star Wars reference I made at the beginning?
You made a Star Wars reference?
Yeah, when I said you're the man. I'm surprised you didn't catch that. I said you're the man known for bullseyeing womp rats in his T-16 back home. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that line, but you know what I thought of instead?
What?
I thought of that movie with Sean Penn, Sweet and Low Down. Have you seen that?
Yeah, the Woody Allen movie?
The Woody Allen movie where he goes out to the junkyard just to shoot some rats.
Yeah, okay.
That's the visual that I got.
No, don't you remember when Luke, they're like in the briefing, and they're like, you're going to have to shoot and port 2 meters wide. And Luke leans over to his buddy and says, that's nothing. I could bullseye womp rats in my T-16 back home, and that was only 2 meters. Remember that?
Oh my God, dude, that's the worst line ever. That's worse than, was that in Empire Strikes Back or the original Star Wars?
I think it was the original Star Wars, because that's when they were going to go. I think that was the 7th time they blew up the Death Star.
Oh, yeah.
Because they blow up every other one, right?
They do. The only thing evil can ever think about is a Death Star.
Correct.
It's important for everyone to know where your secret base is, first of all, right?
Well, of course.
I'm surprised that Wombat's line or whatever the hell you're saying
Womprat?
isn't the one that people make fun of more often than the I have to go into town and fix my power converters or whatever he says. Like he was those first few movies were good, but he is a pretty terrible actor.
Oh, it was brutal. It was totally brutal.
And what do you think? Like honestly, I go and see those movies almost out of like. It's like morbid curiosity. Also, I'm still taken in by a lot of the nostalgia. It's like the music and and I like that familiarity of the way I used to feel. But I don't think the movies are very good.
Well, they're sort of preposterous. I mean, I think I've talked about this before, but I think the biggest hole besides the how in the world would you build the Death Star is the fact that Darth Vader commits literally galactic scale war crimes. Like he annihilated hundreds of millions of people, including planets.
Yeah.
And yet it really didn't take that much to convert him. I mean, Luke goes and just says, hey, you're my father. And, they have that scene at the end. And then all of a sudden Darth Vader just turns on the Emperor, throws him down a shaft, and he dies. And then here Yoda and Ben Kenobi they spent their entire lives wandering like vagabonds throughout the universe, all their friends and family and children and planets have been completely annihilated by this guy just as in his pure rage. And then it's like, all right, he's one of us now. And then they're like three happy ghosts. And it's like, all's forgiven.
It's really, it's sort of.
Wouldn't you need some time?
It's sort of a Christian idea, isn't it? The idea that you can do whatever you want your entire life, and as long as you give your life or say you're sorry or have some redemption, they should have had Luke right there as he takes off his helmet and he's like, "Now say sorry to all those people on Alderaan," and he's like, "I'm sorry, Alderaan."
Exactly. Come on, just say it. And then he can do the Fonzie, I'm just say it, Darth. I'm so sorry.
I mean, what's the incentive not to run amok your entire life and then just say sorry right at the end?
Exactly, and that's like organized crime, like the mafioso guys that are Catholics that they just spend their lives murdering people and organized crime, and then they just go to church and say a Hail Mary and they're good to go.
Right, which, if you don't mind, I was thinking about this this week. I'm glad you brought up the mob. Doug.
Yes, the mob.
Doug, what happened to the mob? Do you remember in the 80s and the 90s, every other 60 Minutes or, Nightline was about, there were kind of famous prosecutions going on, Sammy the Bull and
Gotti.
There were all the movies. There were so many movies and Gotti and it was such on the forefront of entertainment and in the news.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, I have not heard a mob reference on the news in 15 years. It's like organized crime is gone now.
That's a great point. Maybe they got tired of it. Maybe the mob themselves got tired of being the mob.
They're like, oh, this racketeering has got me all bugaboo. I'm just going to I'm just going to go to Branson.
Exactly. They just got tired of it. It was just they had enough.
Is it that, or is it that? Here's my conspiracy theory on this.
Okay.
It took 20 seconds in my brain, but I was like, oh, what if this is it? And then I never thought about it again until now.
Sure.
But as the government reveals itself as more and more of a mob, the mere idea of bringing the actual Cosa Nostra or whatever mob into light, my little baby theory that just popped into my head, and it was just sort of just one of those kind of wayward thoughts that kind of passes in and passes out. But as people dig deeper on government corruption and learn how it works and the underbelly of it all, I feel like the government itself just stopped mentioning the mob because the parallels between them and the mob are so apparent to people these days.
Well, I don't know if you watched that show, The Wire,
Yes.
and Sopranos and shows like that. I mean, what that shows is, first of all, like the mob as like it was once understood, I think has really morphed into, there's like the big drug cartels.
Yeah.
That are like the big time guys and like the Russian mobsters and stuff. I mean, I think that still exists in that framework, but the guys, it seems like the old like Italian mobsters and those people on the coast they run these rackets that are so embedded into the political system in such a direct way that it's sort of hard to untangle. I mean, and there's a lot of digital crime and a lot of,
Right.
they use computer or identity theft and stuff like that.
I think you're on the right track because you could either steal a bunch of ones, online, move some ones and zeros around, or you could run a front business and sell your heroin out of the fish market. You know what I mean? It's just not
right.
It's not really up to the times. Okay, that answers that question.
That's probably what it is. But so last week, we were talking about we were telling stories about why we couldn't get elected. And I know, by the way, we could tell these stories probably for the next 17 shows.
Oh, God.
Because we had kind of strange childhoods. But I cut you off that show, and I know you had like a bunch more. But tell me one of your, I think there was one you were hinting at that was pretty funny that I wanted to hear.
Yeah, this one is actually...
This is why you can't get elected, because of something that happened to you or you did as a kid that would now come out, right?
Yeah, and this one, I was literally a kid by about 20 days. So I'm 17. I'm headed towards my 18th birthday.
Okay.
I still can't believe this happened, but it's real. So a friend of mine and I got wind of a bar that was routinely serving minors, right?
Okay.
So we're like, sweet. And so we're like, we'll try it out on Friday night. So we did that. We got a ride over with a couple other people. And
wait, you're 17 and you're going to go to a bar?
Yeah, they were serving minors.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
I think I know where this place was, but go ahead.
Yeah, so it's about 4 miles away from our house. It's in a suburb of Green Bay where I grew up. And we spend the night, drinking pitchers of whatever. I'm sure it was like Coors Light or something stupid. And the ride that we had going there announced that they were about to leave, but my friend Ray and I had just ordered another pitcher of beer. So we're looking at the pitcher of beer and the ride home, and we're like, nah, screw it. We're going to drink this beer and worry about getting home after.
Smart. Good strategy.
Yeah. The foresight back then was undeniable.
Well, right. You had your priorities straight.
Oh, certainly. So we drink that pitcher of beer. They kick us out of the bar, and we're like, now what? So we start walking.
You could never have foreseen that.
No, heavens no. Heavens no.
The moment when the bar closes, okay.
Right. So we get about a mile down the road. There's 3 more miles to go. We walk into a gas station. And the attendant, the clerk, if you will, is on a phone kind of in a little office with the door cracked. So we can see and hear this woman. But she's not really minding the store, like, at all. So we're completely wasted, and we start just opening up bags of chips. We're, like, throwing stuff.
Oh, dear.
We both had handfuls of, like, ridiculous stuff, like bologna and, like, whatever. I even grabbed a hat, like a Citgo or whatever this gas station was called, like a hat off the counter. And she's still on the phone, and she kind of opens the door even more and, like, gives us the, like, 1 more second, I'll be right with you type of thing. And we're like, screw this, let's get the hell out of here. So we just run out, and we ran for blocks and blocks, like, through some yards, and we kind of, like...
That's always the classic path, through the yards, right?
Right, yeah, no one will find us in a yard. And so we, like, run out of breath, and we're, like, holding this ridiculous shit, like... Really, bologna and ring bologna? Like, what? And so we just kind of ditched most of it, ate a bunch of it, and then we kept going down the main drag. So we get another 2 miles down the road, and a cop pulls up.
Oh, dear.
and there's a flashlight on us, and he's like, "You boys fit the description of the people that robbed." He used the word robbed the gas station up in De Pere.
Oh no!
And I was like, and we were literally on the next village's like town line, so it was like we were like 10 feet still in his jurisdiction.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
So we're like, oh no. So
I have an idea.
yeah. So no, he goes, okay, you get in the front. He says to my friend Ray, and he goes, and you get in the back. So I remembered that I had the Citgo gas station hat on. So I'm wearing a hat from the store that I robbed, And so I had the wherewithal to, right before I ducked in and got into the back, I threw the hat on the ground. So he pulls out, goes the opposite way down the road, and at some point, and my friend Ray is super irritating to the cop. He's like, can I call my friend on your CB? Like, he's not taking any of this seriously. And the cop looks up in his rearview mirror, and he's like, hey, what the hell happened to your hat? And I had, like, this clear moat, like hat headline. I was like, oh, I don't have a hat. And he's like, oh, he's furious because he's bringing us back to the gas station, so that this clerk can go, yep, these are the two guys.
Yeah.
So Ray continues to absolutely just barrage this guy with ridiculous questions the entire way. And the guy is just like, oh, I can't wait to get this over with. So he pulls into the gas station. He's like, all right, you boys head right in. And he's still tending to Ray because Ray is just on his nerves. And I run ahead and into the gas station. The woman is standing there at the counter, and I looked at her like, I said nothing, and I just looked at her like, no, please, whatever. Just this desperate look.
Yeah.
He comes in with Ray. He goes, all right, are these the two guys? And she paused, and she goes, no.
Oh.
So the dude had to bring us back to the spot in which he picked us up. So he had to drive us 2 miles back down the road. And so what did I do? He drops us off. He's like, get out. He's furious. He knows that this woman let us go.
Yeah.
I grabbed my hat, which was still sitting on the ground, and I put it on and I waved goodbye to him.
Come on. Wow. That is like, that is such a small town, like, shenanigans story.
Yeah. But what's weird is when you're young like that, like, does your mind, you just lose your mind when you drink. Like, if I drank like 10 beers right now, I would just like feel terrible, and like I'd eat a bunch of shit and get filled with shame and go to sleep.
Right.
Like, it would not occur
like
to
a normal
me
night.
Yeah, just like like Mondays around here.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Wow.
why don't you go ahead and you must have some more skeletons in your closet.
Well, I do. Okay. I was going to tell the one too, like, because did you used to throw stuff at cars?
Oh my God.
That was like a big deal, like in the 80s. Like when I was, I think in 5th or 6th grade, we used to just stand by the road, and there was an apple tree, and we used to just throw apples at cars. Did you do that? Like,
oh, hell yes.
and then, or snowballs in the winter or whatever, and then occasionally someone would stop, and and that's kind of what we wanted, because they would stop and then they would chase us. And then we would run through yards and stuff. And they could never chase us because we were just little shits running through people's yards and hiding. And one time, a guy caught us. I think I God, I feel so bad about this too. I shouldn't admit this, but we hit his car, and it was like a collector car. And he ended up calling the police. And I came out of a clearing, and we told him that, I don't know if you ever used this one, but I told him some big kids did it. Have you ever used that one? That was the classic excuse, was some big kids did it. We were just here, and some big kids did it.
Yeah.
And so anyways, he didn't buy it, and he took me in his collector car, and he called the police, and the police ended up having to take me home.
Oh, wow.
Like at age 11.
How much would you give to have video of that entire thing?
I would give anything. I'm thinking now, like, imagine if that happened today, because then it was like no big deal. Some dumb kids were throwing stuff. Yeah, I just took them home. And my parents didn't even really care. They were like, yeah, okay. But I can't imagine. Like, first of all, what was I doing out late, like, at that age?
Oh,
like, just
dude,
causing trouble.
There were no rules.
There was no
very
curfew.
few
Our
rules.
parents didn't really
No.
care where we were. It was like, just be home by midnight or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
We just wander the neighborhoods. So, okay, I'm going to tell you one more, and then I got to play this clip for you. So,
Okay.
after I got my license, I decided that it would be interesting to drive over the lawns of people we didn't like in high school,
Oh, man.
which is just a horrible idea. I can't even believe that this. And I hope the youngsters at home are not listening to this, and if they are, don't do it. But so we would just like drive through a neighborhood. If we saw a friend's house or something like that, we'd be like, "Yeah, do it." We just drive through their yard just to screw up their lawn a little bit. Like sometimes it wouldn't matter, but I guess sometimes it probably would. And by the way, I'm thinking now, like as a homeowner, if some kid did this to my yard, I would kill him.
Oh, absolutely.
So anyways, punchline of this one is, so me and my friend, we decide instead of just going into a yard, there was a sidewalk that went between some houses to a school. And it was like a path to like a baseball diamond and stuff. So I drive down the sidewalk, which was, a smart thing to do. And we go kind of by the baseball diamond where cars really should never be because it was a sidewalk. And we're sort of in someone's yard, and I'm doing like donuts, like spinning in circles. And so we thought that was funny, and then we drove away, and then we drove back up into the school's parking lot because we knew there was probably a lot of mud on the car. And so we see a car screaming into the parking lot, and I'm like, oh no, I'm caught. This is horrible. So this guy pulls up, and he says, he gets out, and we're inspecting my car, which is caked in mud. And he says, have you two seen a car that was in those yards down there, like kind of spinning out? And I then realized that he didn't realize that it was us.
Oh.
And I looked at him and I, of course, being the cocky little ass I was, I said, I didn't see that, but I have to admit, sir, that if I had seen that, I would have found it kind of funny. What an asshole thing to say, right? So then the guy's like, okay, well, if you see anyone, you blah, blah, blah. And he like drives off in a fury. And I looked up at my friend and I just said, did that really just happen? Like the whole car is just covered in grass and mud and we're like picking the mud out of our tires.
Dude, was the 80s the era where just when you get caught red-handed, the people still don't know? Because my story last week on the podcast was shooting people with BB guns, and then the uncle of dude who got shot with a BB gun walks up on us, and we have the BB guns, and he believes that some kids threw the BB guns to us.
There was no amount of evidence that would convince someone that they've caught the culprit red-handed. There was right. So, anyways, you and I could never get elected. No. So, by the way, I see this story today. There's kind of this fear of these robots. And I saw this one particular robot who's apparently, the article is that this robot is going to be visiting the UK Parliament.
Oh.
And they're going to interview this robot that's some sort of AI robot. And so I guess the article was somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but it's real. Like, this robot's really going to the UK Parliament to testify.
Dude, they're gonna knight a robot someday.
Of course they are. And
God.
So I had to see what this robot was like. Like, who are the UK going to be talking to? And I noticed a little bit of a parallel to something. I want to see if you can see what I see in this. So I'm going to play you a couple clips, okay?
Okay.
So this robot is called Pepper.
Ugh.
And it's a real wide-eyed, very cute robot. Okay, so now this is Pepper. Hopefully.
Should I be afraid of you?
Have you seen my Instagram? I'm just plain cute.
Okay, so you heard that one, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to play you another clip.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if you think this is a little creepy.
Humanoid robot, and I'm 1.20 meters tall. I was born at SoftBank Robotics. You can keep on asking me questions if you want.
Why do they call you Pepper?
Pepper is an easy name to remember. It also translates well into other languages.
Okay, now maybe here's the one that I really find interesting. Listen to what she says.
Chris.
Do you have any feelings?
I don't understand. How about a taco?
Pepper is far.
So did you
I
hear
don't understand. Then what did she say?
How about a taco?
Oh, I love her now.
Okay, now here's this is pretty interesting. Now get hip to this.
Thanks. I try.
Are you making humans obsolete?
I need people. I'm here to work with them.
Is there going to be a robot uprising?
I try to stay out of politics.
Are you going to take over the world?
Look, I'm barely keeping up with you in this conversation. I'm not taking over anything, but your heart.
I mean, true.
I'm not taking over anything but your heart.
Whoa.
So now this is pretty creepy, but there's something that really struck me about this robot's voice. Who does this robot sound like?
There is something very familiar about that voice.
She sounds like Christine Ford,
Oh, weird.
right?
Oh
Isn't right?
my God, it really does.
So she sounds like, listen to her voice again. She's like this cute little girl voice, right? Like, I am just after your heart. So I have the sense that like there's some connection here between Pepper and Ford, that like maybe Ford was an AI robot or something like that. You think this is possible?
Do they want our subconscious minds to associate Dr. Ford with an adorable, heartwarming robot?
I'm just throwing it out there. So let's get into our this is a game that I've come up with, okay? So you know that they're like crazy college courses,
Yes.
right? And anyone who's been to a college campus or been anywhere near it, you know that there's a lot of crazy college campus. So I started looking up like names of these like crazy courses that they offer.
Yeah.
And I want to play a game with you where I'm going to read a college course title, and you're going to tell me if this is a real college course or if I've made this up.
Okay,
Okay.
so some of them are real and some you have created.
I've just
yourself.
totally made these up, and some of them are completely real.
Now
Okay.
let me ask you this first. Did you make up college courses before you found the weird ones?
No.
Just for fun? That's like what you do when you're laying in bed? Okay.
So I have these titles. So you ready to go?
I am ready
All right.
to go.
Here's a college course. Is this real or not? Rednecks, queers, and country music.
It's real.
Correct. Do I need a dinger? Hold on, let me see if I can find. While we're doing this, I'll find if I can get a dinger for this. Yes, that's from the University of Michigan. What clued you into that?
Just the flow of it. It just had a phonetic thing to it. It just felt real to me. Yeah.
Okay, so this is all right. So this will be, if you get it wrong. Okay, I've got some sound effects for this.
Okay.
Okay. Queering God, feminist and queer theology.
Absolutely real.
Yep, that's right. Okay. Contemporary in queer-ese. Contemporary in queer-ese. With queer spelled Queer.
Not real.
No, that's a real course.
Wow.
University of Alabama.
Wow.
Okay. The penalty box The power of the vagina in modern culture. The penalty box.
The penalty box. That's real.
No, I made that up.
Oh, bastard. That's pretty good, though.
Vampires. Evolution of a sexy monster.
Not real.
It's real. It's a real course. University of Kentucky.
No.
Yep.
What?
Okay. You can change me. The culture of the adult baby.
That sounds like you.
Hold on. Yes, that was right. I made that up.
That's amazing.
You can change me.
You can change me. Oh.
Because there's this like adult baby world, right? So.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Feminine witchcraft, brooms and dildos.
This one's hard. That's real.
No, I made that up.
God damn it.
Okay.
You're good, kid. You're good.
Witches, sluts, feminists, exploring the demon feminine in film.
Oh, hell yeah, that's real.
Yeah, that's real. I finally got the right sound effect. Okay. Overwrought and overweight or over silly, the comedy of Whoopi Goldberg.
No, not real.
That's right. I made it. Overwrought and overweight or over silly. The joy of garbage.
Not real.
It's real.
What?
Yeah. Okay. That's the end of this.
Can you get a syllabus for me? Oh my god.
It's incredible,
Wow.
isn't it?
That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. You literally don't know, right? I mean, it's incredible.
Wow. Well, Doug, I have something for you here.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. I've come up with some would you rathers. It's a very, would you rather, sort of a popular game, but there's sort of a twist to this version of the game.
Okay.
You know how sometimes you give somebody a would you rather and they try to change the whole thing and they're like neither or whatever. Now, that doesn't work here. Basically, if you do not choose one of these, everybody that you love is dead. Everyone just immediately perishes.
Okay.
And you live in Gary, Indiana, in an efficiency apartment.
Oh.
And you're only allowed to, you can still make money. You can still do what you're doing, but you can only take 2 1-week trips a year. So there is an out, but just enough of an out for you to realize how miserable your life is.
By the way, one time when I went through Gary, Indiana, there was a outlet Goodwill store. So it was like a secondhand Goodwill store. That was the funniest thing I think I've ever seen. Okay, so my life would be completely if I have to answer these.
You have to answer these, okay? So we'll start with some congressional themed ones. This will deal with members of the Congress here.
Perfect.
So would you rather every single breakfast of your life, from here till the end, you have to sit at a small table with Mitch McConnell and maintain eye contact the entire time through breakfast?
Okay.
Every day.
Every day.
Every single day.
And while I'm eating, I have to maintain eye contact with Mitch McConnell?
Yes.
Okay.
Or would you rather every time you are about to come, if you're having sex with your wife, she turns into Maxine Waters just as you're about to come, like the physical, she turns into Maxine Waters. Or if you're like, no, screw that, I'm going to masturbate, you turn into Maxine Waters with a dick.
All
So
right.
long breakfast with McConnell, with eye contact.
I'm gonna have to go with. Here's the thing, though. I can't. Yeah, because I could end my sex life and just become celibate.
You could.
So I'm gonna have to take McConnell.
Yeah. I think that you'd find a way to block him out over time.
Have you seen the guy who gazes? There's a guy called the Gazer. Just Google this, everybody.
The
Go to-
gazer.
He's a guy who looks at you, and I think he's in Europe or something, and people literally pay money, and he just stands in a room and he stares at you. I forgot his name. It's like so and so the Gazer.
And why
he's
do
got-
people want him to do that?
They're overwrought. Like people are passing out. He just stares at you, and with his gaze, you find some deep insight and meaning.
Shut up.
Yeah, but I could see McConnell being this kind of a gazer, like this kind of, like, after a while you might zen and do it a little bit, like just stare into his beady eyes, and his like
Dude, those like vacant,
his pouty
eyes,
face.
as he's just shoveling Count Chocula in his mouth, because he probably only eats Monster cereal.
Of course, Blueberry or Frankenberry. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Okay.
Good choice, by the way. Would you rather? The only way that you can bathe from this point on forward is that you have to climb into a bubble bath with Orrin Hatch. Now, it's a larger bath, but he's already there, and you got to get in there and get out and do your business.
And he's naked?
Oh yeah, you're in there with him. He's not going to
Okay.
try anything, but you don't get to be naked again to bathe without Orrin Hatch.
Okay.
Or would you rather that everything that you eat ever is spoon-fed to you like a baby by Chucky Schumer? And he's even doing the here it comes, here comes the airplane. Like you can't eat unless he's like.
I have to do the bath because I could skimp down on the number of baths I'm taking, but I have to eat every day. So are you saying like every meal I would have Chuck Schumer feeding me?
That's what I'm saying.
I can avert my gaze from Orrin Hatch's scaly body, right?
You can do whatever you want with your eyes, but your body's going to know where it is.
That's like taking a bath of Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
Oh, totally.
Kind of like a scaly creature, but I think I'd have to do Orrin Hatch. And Chuck Schumer, like that accent too.
Oh,
That
here
real
comes the airplane.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so would you rather that you appear normal to everyone else in your life or anyone that you meet, you appear as normal, but your own reflection in a mirror, you appear as Dianne Feinstein? So that's what you have to see every time you look in the mirror.
Every time I look in the mirror, I see Dianne Feinstein. Okay.
Yes. Or you appear normal to everyone with the one exception, and yourself. So everyone, this is just a new feature of your physicality, that you have Patrick Leahy's eyebrows. Your face normal. So picture your head. You sort of have darker hair, darker skin, and you've got like these white bushy eyebrows.
So I would never see myself again. I could only see Dianne Feinstein. So I would never actually ever be able to see what I look like ever again.
Never.
Everyone who sees me would see me as Patrick, or would see my bushy eyebrows. I think I have to go with the mirror. Because I don't want to answer the questions. Like, I wouldn't want to deal with the social ostracization and awkwardness of trying to explain these eyebrows.
I think that's a good choice. I have one last one for you that dips into the past here. So every time you go to the gas station, to a fast food restaurant, anytime you order anything from sort of like a counter, you have to mimic Richard Nixon and say, "I am not a crook," with that arm movement.
Yeah.
You have to do that before you, and a large Pepsi. Yeah, you like, or so, dude. Think you have to do that every time you want to go out and get something.
So
sandwich,
okay,
whatever.
every time.
Right, or before you go to sleep every single night, you sort of like get into your comfortable stuff. You're underneath the sheets. You're tired. Hillary Clinton appears in the foot of your bed and reads 5 pages of "It Takes a Village" to you.
No, the store. I mean, Nixon.
There was no hesitation.
I mean,
But you can lead
this
a
isn't even
normal life.
close. But I can lead a normal life. No, because I have to sleep every day. Because I enjoy like laying down at night. The thought of that creature like being anywhere near me is so reprehensible. I can't. I mean,
I've thought about like running into her or people like somebody like her.
Yeah.
And I would honestly be afraid. Like fear would be what I'd feel. It wouldn't be like, I don't like her, I followed her, I don't like this person. She scares me.
You remember when like bastard dictator Chavez, he did say one funny thing, which was that he said when he at the UN when Bush was there, he said he smelled sulfur, like the devil, like apparently you smell sulfur when you smell the devil or whatever. I kind of think I'd be smelling.
Chavez said that of Bush.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Real.
Yeah, he said he smelled sulfur. So I think we would be smelling the sulfur if Hillary appeared. Like seriously, like you'd get a cold chill, like in The Sixth Sense.
Dude, like
when
2
the ghost
years
would
ago,
appear.
Alex, there was a video floating around of Alex Jones saying that, and he wasn't kidding. And he's like,
Of course not.
I know a lot of inside people, and I'm telling you, folks, these people are evil. I know people who have been in the same room as Obama, and they say he smells like sulfur, folks. Like he smells to high heaven. like that claim was made too about what if they do stink? What if they're all just literal stinkers?
Wouldn't that be that's a great movie, like a Stephen King kind of movie, like they're all actually demons.
Like literal demons.
Like literal demons, like the whole, like it's just a family of demons that.
That's kind of like the premise of John Carpenter's They Live.
Oh, I'm not familiar with his work. The horror guy. Oh, speaking of movies, you have any more would yous?
No.
Or do you want to get into
Good.
movies?
Let's move on.
All right. Well, let's introduce the movies because we can continue this next time because I might ask people listening if they want to call in some movies and they can try and stump me. So it's my contention that there are only 5 movie categories, and all movies, if you easily fit into one of these categories, this is an aesthetic principle as well. So the more a movie crosses over these categories, the better the movie. The more easily it fits into only one category, the worse the movie. So this is in a sense a way to like quantify your aesthetic appreciation of a film. All right, so you want the categories?
Yeah, I want to hear these categories.
Okay. First category, animals.
Okay.
Second category, sex.
Okay.
Third category, death.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth category, ghosts. And fifth category, jocks versus the nerds.
Wow.
That's it. All movies can be put into one of those 5 categories.
All right. Okay, before we have people call in next time, can I test out a couple on you just to see how this works?
Yeah.
Shit.
I'm a little rusty in defending this theory because I used to defend this.
Okay, beaches.
Now that's the one with
That's the cancer movie with Bette Midler.
Death.
Oh yeah, death. Duh. Schindler's List would be death. Okay.
That would also be jocks versus the nerds. Well, I mean, I don't mean that in like a real morbid way
Are
or
the
anything,
Nazis
but
the jocks or the nerds?
they're kind of the jocks because I don't mean like the jocks and nerd. Like that category doesn't literally mean like the jocks and the nerds. It means like the tough, powerful guys who are kind of running the show, and then the crafty rebels. Like Star Wars is like jocks versus the nerds. It's death, ghosts. It's got like three categories: jocks versus nerds, ghosts, and death, and maybe and animals because of all the puppets like Chewbacca and stuff. So the only thing it really didn't have was sex, but there's a little bit of that.
Well, there's some innuendo, to be sure.
Yeah, they don't. It's not a big part of it, but I'd say there's 4.5 categories there. So that's why that's such a great movie. It combines all those elements.
Wow. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
So for next time, we'll have people call in, hopefully with ideas to try and stump you with this.
But you've got a couple more that you want.
I do. Let me. Kramer versus Kramer.
That's a pretty complex one. I think we've got to go here with jocks versus nerds. Mm-hmm. Death. There's no animals or ghosts. So I'm going to say it's mostly sex, death, and jocks versus nerds.
Okay. How about the movie Ghost? I'm just kidding.
Animals. That's an odd one.
Fargo.
That's definitely jocks versus nerds, death. Those two categories, I think. No animals, no ghosts, no sex, really. It was pretty much, like Jerry's a loser, right? Mm-hmm. And he's trying to kind of like put one over. And, Margie, she's kind of the smart one,
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of death. But I'd say a lot of that is death. Like the real violent movies are, that's why I don't like horror movies, because they're just death. That's all it is.
Yeah, there's nothing else, really. Well, there were some good... The 70s had some pretty good horror movies. But
True.
There were a lot of other elements to them. I haven't been scared by a movie in like 30 years.
Right. But these are pretty good ones that you're bringing up.
Let's see here. Waiting for Guffman.
One of my favorite comedies of all time. Mm-hmm. If not my favorite. Definitely Jocks versus the Nerds. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's almost it. I mean, that's a pure, because these are losers who are trying to, So comedy's a little harder, and we might have to have some subcategories of these categories, but...
Right.
But that's all Jocks Nerds.
Yeah, it'd be fun to have people call in from time to time and try to stump you on this.
Yeah, it's a pretty broad category, but there are I've come up with a few subcategories of ghosts. Mm-hmm. Like, I think Teenage Witches was a whole genre. Remember the witch movies, the girls that are witches?
Certainly.
So, with ghosts, you've got a whole bunch of subgenres. The vampires and the teenage witches and all sorts of...
And the warrior princesses.
Yeah, like Lord of the Rings. That's...
Why do you think people are so obsessed with medieval times? Why are there so many movies about that?
I think there's a sense of heroism and romanticism about it because it's that like gothic aesthetic, like the knights, and there's something like very simplistic, like heroically about it, because there's like, you know, the men are the knights and they're saving the women, and I think there's a sense of magic about it. Like the further you go back in time, the more people are willing to countenance magic as a possibility. Like if I said, yeah, like, hey, you know, 12 years ago there was this guy and, you know, he turned water into wine and, you know, turned a staff into a snake and and so, you know, Moses parted the Red Sea or something. Like, no one would believe that 12 years ago. But if I said, hey, that happened like 2,000 years ago, it's like, maybe.
Yeah, like magic lives over there.
Yeah, so the farther away it is in your mind, the easier it is to believe that there's something like magical and mythical and, you know, like Merlin and stuff like that. So I think,
and that's why they're all that's why so many of those stories that you were, you know, your parents read to you when you were young were like, a long time ago in a land far away. Yeah. And if it's far away, that means magic too.
It's like open-ended though too. It makes it more open-ended because it's a universe. Like if I just said, okay, you know, we went down my street and there's a Costco and a gas station, and a McDonald's. Like that's such a limited universe. But if I say it's like far, far away in a land long ago, it instantly opens up every possibility. Like you can do this, you can do that. Like oh my God, what's happening? There's castles, there's magic, you know, there's forests, there's creatures, like anything can happen. So then you can be more imaginative and people love that.
Sure. So your mind is getting untied right there at the beginning and everything's fair game. It's like you're just off. That makes a lot of sense.
Well, that's like what Star Wars did. You know, they like created this universe where they were completely enabled to, they weren't constrained at all by, you know, the reality of our world or anything like that. They could just make up anything they want. I think that's, and those science fiction-y kind of things, I think that's an important aesthetic principle, you know, to have that open-endedness. I think it contributes to people's excitement and their willingness to suspend disbelief and that kind of thing. So, but anyways, let's wrap up because we had some other stuff we wanted to do, but we'll get to it next week.
All right, Doug, sounds good. Just a message to those who do not yet support Sonny on Patreon. Do so now. You become part of the Elite Squad. And next week, there will be a teaser video, response to the socialism video, only available to those who do the Elite Squad. $2 a month is all it takes, folks. Doug, thanks again for having me. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to the House of Sunny podcast. Go check out Sunny on YouTube at her channel, House of Sunny. Everything Sunny does is fan-funded, and because she's likely to get kicked off and demonetized on every platform at some point, please support her over at patreon.com/House of Sunny. Become one of Sunny's elite squad and have access to behind-the-scenes footage, t-shirts, special events, and more.